These facilities had one thing in common. They all thought nobody was watching. They were wrong. Behind closed doors, vulnerable people were being abused by the very hands paid to protect them. Families demanded answers. The institutions gave excuses. So they stopped asking and started recording. And what it captured changed everything. Our first case begins with a son who noticed something no one should ever have to notice: unexplained bruising on his elderly mother. Esther Piskor, known to her family as Mitzi, had developed Alzheimer's disease and could no longer safely live at home. Like thousands of families every year, her son Steve made the difficult decision to place her in professional care. He chose the Prentice Skilled Nursing Care Unit at Metro Health in Cleveland, Ohio. He visited regularly. The staff were always professional. They never flagged any issues, but the bruising kept appearing. Steve asked questions. He got reassurances. Nothing changed. So he placed a hidden camera in his mother's room. What it captured is one of the most documented cases of nursing home abuse in American legal history. The footage showed aide Virgin Caraballo, someone paid and trusted to care for Esther, forcefully throwing the 78-year-old from her wheelchair onto the bed, shaking her, yelling at her, and pushing her face directly into the bed mattress while bathing her. Esther was 78 years old. She weighed barely over 100 pounds. She had Alzheimer's. She could not fight back. She could not report what was happening. She could barely communicate. The camera told her story for her. Virgin Caraballo was convicted in criminal court and sentenced to 10 years in prison. All of her nursing licenses were permanently revoked. She will never work in long-term care again. A second aide, 26-year-old Maria Carbon, was also found guilty in a separate criminal proceeding. But Steve Piskor didn't stop there. He took his mother's suffering to Ohio lawmakers and spent years pushing for change. In March 2022, Ohio passed Esther's Law, legislation that now gives families the legal right to install monitoring cameras in nursing home rooms without needing permission from the facility. Esther passed away in 2018. 4 years before the law carrying her name took effect. But because of one hidden camera and one determined son, vulnerable people across Ohio are safer today. Not every case in this video involves an institution covering something up. Sometimes the camera simply catches one person, making a choice to harm the person in their care. Catherine Ann Beavers had been a registered nurse since 1996, nearly 3 decades on the nursing register. Between late May and early July 2023, Beavers was caught on CCTV footage at a care facility in Dorset, England, assaulting a patient who had profound learning difficulties and required round-the-clock care. Not once, not twice, 3 separate shifts. When she was arrested and confronted with the footage, Beavers told police she had not realized how rough she had been and could not explain her actions. She said she was ashamed of what she saw in the recording. She admitted the assault at Poole Magistrates Court in October 2023. She was ordered to complete 120 hours of unpaid work and pay $750 in compensation. The Nursing and Midwifery Council, the UK's nursing regulator, subsequently struck her off the register entirely. Their ruling was clear. Allowing her to continue practicing would not sufficiently protect patients. This case raises a difficult question that has no easy answer. If there had been no camera in that corridor, would any of this ever have come to light? A father in Port Jefferson Station, New York, noticed something wrong with his son. Maverick was 5 years old. He was severely disabled and nonverbal. He couldn't tell his dad what had happened. His father, an NYPD detective, noticed bruising on his son's body. Something wasn't right. So he did what a trained detective would do. He went back through his home surveillance footage. What he found on the recording from December 20th, 2 days earlier, led to an immediate criminal referral. Nurse Bruno Valenzuela, who had been in the home caring for Maverick, was caught on camera slapping the 5-year-old child. Valenzuela was charged with assault. Maverick's father said publicly, "My son is the center of our world. To see something like that happen to him was very upsetting." Think about that for a moment. This child could not speak. He could not tell anyone what was happening to him. Without that home camera, the bruises might have been explained away. Valenzuela might still be working. This case is a reminder of why monitoring technology matters and why the most vulnerable patients deserve the most protection.
Dr. Nikita Levy was a gynecologist at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore, one of the most prestigious medical institutions in the world. For years, he used his position of trust to secretly record his female patients during examinations, using hidden camera devices concealed on his person. When his actions were finally discovered and reported to the hospital in February 2013, Levy was suspended immediately. Within 2 weeks, he died by suicide. But the legal aftermath was just beginning. More than 8,000 women came forward. They filed a class action lawsuit against Johns Hopkins Hospital, not just for Levy's actions, but for the institution's failure to detect or stop him. Johns Hopkins settled the case for $190 million. At the time, it was one of the largest medical privacy violation settlements in United States history. The case fundamentally expanded how courts and hospitals think about medical malpractice, making clear that serious breaches of patient privacy and trust are not just ethical violations, they are legal ones. 8,000 women, 1 doctor, a system that didn't catch him in time. This case changed American medical law, and it should never be forgotten.
Above are families who refuse to accept the word of institutions over the word of their loved ones. The cases where the footage told the truth that nobody in power was willing to tell. What connects all of these cases is not just abuse, it's silence. Facilities that dismissed concerns, staff who assumed they would never be caught, and victims, elderly, disabled, nonverbal, who had no other way to be heard. The camera gave them a voice. If you have a loved one in a care facility and something doesn't feel right, trust that feeling. Document everything. And know that in more and more states, you have the legal right to install a camera. Check the laws in your state. Talk to a lawyer if you need to. But do not wait for someone to believe you. If this video opened your eyes to something you didn't know was happening, share it, because awareness is the first line of defense. Subscribe to Bad Dose for more investigations into crime, fraud, and abuse inside the medical system. See you on the next one.